Hey y'all, fixing to take off and go out to one of my favorite places in the whole wide world, the Okefenokee Swamp. I'm taking something new. I hadn't been on one of these before, so this is going to be new to me. So I'm anxious to get on it. This is the BlueSky Angler 360. I have not been on one of these. I've been around them. I photographed them. I didn't even realize that one of my images was on the actual ad for this thing. So that was cool to me, but I haven't yet to been on one. Now, before I get started, I got two things. I know I'm going to get questions and I know I'm going to get some statements about it, but number one, this ain't a kayak. And that is not a surprise to me. Neither is my 18-foot center console aluminum boat. You know, I don't care. I love kayaks, don't get me wrong. I just love to fish, and I don't care what it takes to do it. I'd get in a number 2 wash tub if I thought it got me closer to a fish. So canoes, kayaks, whatever you want to call this, big boats, little boats, I love them all. I don't get hung up on one type of craft, but I just want to say I am not surprised it's not a kayak, and I do not care what you call it. I call them all boats anyway. The second big item, money. That's the biggest one to me. Guys, this thing's expensive. I'm talking like sell a testicle expensive. That's how expensive they are. You know, and I bought some dumb stuff in my life. And some stuff I spent a lot of money for that I loved. I'm hoping that's what this is. But, I mean, one thing I've learned, and now I'm 46 years old, I've learned there's one thing about life, I'm not getting out of here alive. So, I better live while I can. You don't see U-Hauls behind hearses. There's a reason for that. So, as long as I can keep living, I'm going to live while I can. Yes, it's high dollar. Don't blast me over that. It's my money. I'm burning it. So, there you go. You know, all I can say is don't hold back, wait until tomorrow, because tomorrow ain't promised. Let's get this thing on the water, kick the tires on it, and see what we think. I pedaled this thing not quite 2 miles up here against the current, so that was eye-opening, but it did pretty good. I mean, I was impressed with it. It's definitely a workout. I mean, if you need to justify this, just ask your significant other how much they spend on their exercise bike that they don't use. I can promise you this is a heap more fun than an exercise bike. But it did well. I mean, I was able to do good even going over the shallow spots. The drive kicked up like it was supposed to, so no damage there. Had to clean the weeds off the prop one time, so I was able to do that just from the seat position. That's pretty good. So we're gonna see if we can get some slime on it now. Pretty little young mudfish. Slippery. It's been a great morning out here on the swamp. I'm at a place called Mixon's Hammock, which is about 1.5 miles down Billy's Lake to the left, and a place we've camped before, and it's just a gorgeous spot, and that's what I wanted to come here this morning. So the boat has done great. I know this is more about the 360 than the swamp, but you know, I love this place, so you're gonna have to listen to that. But the neat thing was this morning I came up in here and there was a kingfisher in a tree. And if you're a birder, you'll understand, but I've tried for years to get a decent picture of a kingfisher, and I've yet to have that happen. So when I've got a fishing rod in my hand, they're everywhere, but when I have a camera in my hand, you can't find them. So that was a real treat this morning to be able to sneak up in here and see one. I was actually able to go down to the pedals by hand and pull myself along and drive with the camera in my hand to sneak up to him and get a decent shot. So I was really pleased with that. Maneuverability, you know, I've been impressed. It's not going to turn as tight as a kayak, because I can turn that on its axis. But this thing, you know, what I found is if you kick it a couple times and then throw the rudder, it'll sort of power slide into a turn if you need to get through some tight stuff. And I've done really well with that. Just as far as ease of paddling or pedaling, it does good. I mean, it's more of a workout. I got to be truthfully honest. I think I could paddle further than I can pedal. But then again, this is my first trip in it, you know, so I'm sure I haven't worked up those muscles as much as I work up these muscles. Not saying that I have muscles, but it's been a real treat. I mean, the decks, I've got a camera bag out on the front, I've got camera bags on the back, I've got fishing gear on it. You know, the storage on the side, there's drinks in one side, tools in the other, fishing gear in another. So I've got stuff in all the little compartments and up on the deck, and I still have plenty of room. I mean, I can stand up, take care of business off the side if you need to. So, I mean, it's definitely neat. Now, to me, is there anything I would change around? You know, I would probably add a little bit more flare to the bow. I've heard that folks that are running them with motors, you know, that the bows tend to cut the waves, and I saw that even just with me paddling into a pretty good chop yesterday, that they were cutting into the waves, and I think a more of a planing type bow would be nice to ride up over that sort of stuff. But it was, I mean, that's probably my only, you know, real big nit on it, you know. And again, we talked about the money earlier. It's an expensive toy. It's exactly what it is, or tool, however you look at it. And to me, if you're going to invest in this thing, you want it to be the best that it can be. And I think that they've done really good as far as planning. You know, I know the guys at BlueSky that have worked and tried to make sure everything is put exactly where it needs to. And I mean, even just as simple as having this little paddle holder and rod holder up on the side, the rack. I mean, I kept that paddle right there when I was back on in the current in the back country. And if I needed to make a real quick adjustment, you know, that wasn't fast enough on the pedals, that was super simple to grab right there. So even just something as intuitive as that has been really nice. But I mean, it's definitely an interesting rig, and for fishing, of course, but for birding, or, you know, or outdoor photography. Now, if I'd have had a chest rig where my camera could have hung and I could have just been hands-free with that, that would have been wonderful. But of course, my chest rig is 4.5 hours away at home. But I kept it held up here with one hand, and it worked fine like that. But a chest rig where you could hang your camera, or if I use my command stand from Yak Attack, I could probably figure out a way to put my camera on top of it, or even strap in a tripod where two legs go down. I'm sure there's ways to modify it. That's one good thing about us guys in these little plastic boats. We find ways to modify and make things what we want to. But if you were going to run this as a camera rig, it is pretty awesome. Now, I have to figure out that the seat's a little squeaky, and I've heard that complaint from people. And it's just the material, you know, so that, but I know some folks have done some stuff to quiet that up, and that would really help you to be super stealthy for sneaking up on critters. But it was nice having the camera in hand, ready to go. But I mean, the 360 Angler is definitely an interesting rig, you know, and I would definitely recommend, if you can get in one, to demo one. I'd recommend that to anybody. Just put your butt in it, spend some time in it. So that's my spit and whittle about this. You know, it loads pretty easy on my rig on the trailer that I built. I think I've got about $60 in lumber that I put for that. It loads easily, it pulls easily, it pedals, you know, good. Like I said, it's a little bit of a workout, but I'm sure I'm not in the best of shape, so hopefully that'll get a little bit better for me too. But you know, the first time I tried to paddle 10 miles was a little bit of a workout, but that got easier as well. So, but that's my spit and whittle on the BlueSky 360 Angler. If you have any questions, just feel free to hit me up. You know, I'll help you out as much as I can. I'll show you a few pictures from the trip, and hope this helps out a little bit, and hope to see you on the water. Y'all take care.